Hello and welcome to another video. So we are coming into roughly the last week of decks until the expansion launches. So we're not going to be doing anything too crazy, just covering some decks I enjoy and have some fun with. Maybe even checking out some meme decks right towards the end, but it's getting tricky to find anything that isn't just super covered at the moment. So we've covered basically everything big, and I unfortunately don't have the cards to cover certain decks that I'd like to that would be a lot more meme worthy and a little more fun. So we're just going to kind of rehash some of the old ones, go back over them, and just see how they're still performing after all. It's not really going to hurt. As like I said, we are coming into the last, and we have other videos coming out with the new card reviews and stuff like that that's happening, of course, right up to the end of this. So starting us off, we are going with a pretty big staple right now, probably the most popular rotation deck, Mysteria rune. This variant's the one I like the most and I've had the most success with, which is why I like showing it off, because it's just a lot of fun. So it's basically pretty straightforward, heap of Mysteria cards, literally able to shut down any kind of mirror or other big kind of drop cards, and basically just take advantage of flooding the board and hitting face as much as you can with spells and effects for maximum damage. So getting right into it, let's check it out. So the next week's worth of videos I don't expect to be super long. After all, we're not covering too much that we haven't already covered, and we're mainly just giving them another look right towards the end of this expansion, as they were pretty major, especially at least in this last month. This deck in particular, and a few of the other decks that I covered, were pretty decent throughout the expansion as well, both in Unlimited and Rotation. So, of course, starting us off here, we start off with a very decent hand, Mysteria Knowledge, Magic Missile, and of course Light Mage, working all well together, all good for us, and going to do a pretty good job. We also end up with Magic Founder, which is a pretty good draw, honestly. As far as having it in your hand early, it's usually pretty decent. Getting toward them's a little iffy, but not the worst possible outcome. And the Lyriel does set us up nicely in case of some potential big drop. I do go for the Wormist, because why not? Basically just need to get the Light Mage down so it can be played on 4, but Knight of Mysteria kind of takes up that turn. I was hoping to draw into a little less of a Mysteria card, but this one is still going to be pretty okay, honestly. And it doesn't look like the Portal player really has a lot going on for them. Do wish I had the Spinaria leader. Hopefully I can get the new Orcus leader, that's going to be great. Orcus was one of my favorites, so hopefully that'll be great. Spinaria and her top 2 waifus for Portal, 100%. So, why not? We're going to get a chance to play the Magic Founder now. I mean, there's no real loss here. Taking a little bit of damage will probably be fine, so definitely getting it out where you can is going to be the biggest advantage. We do have the Mysterian Missile, and we still have Mysterian Knowledge to play out now, so looks like we're going to be pretty set. And it doesn't look like our opponent's going for much. We might actually get a chance to play another Mysterian Founder instead. All we have to keep in mind is that we do need to get some damage to the face before turn 10, where we want to set up the Anne for the big kind of play. So, Magic Founder, it's always a good way to start off, along with the Mysterian Knowledge, so then we can go for the Light Mage with the Evolve instead. As that is going to be a lot more beneficial as far as playing cards goes. I'd much rather have Mysterian right and use that than go for the Evo and only have 1 extra health. It looks like our opponent is going to try something here. Relying on their artifacts to kind of draw them out cards and kill things off.
So it was you, after all. This strength is for you.
Definitely a lot of cards coming out here. But all we really need to do is take out the ward and then set ourselves up with as much board pressure as we can. And then we should be pretty safe as far as things go. It's great that we are getting all those kind of Spell and Mysterian boosts. Definitely helping us out here. It's a little disappointing I couldn't have fit the Mysterian Circle into that curve there. If I could have, I definitely would have. Now Anne, since we don't have a secondary Anne, we definitely want to take the Sorcery, as that is going to be our massive win con if we don't just straight out win due to the tempo kind of plays, where we just flood the board with as much as we kind of can.
Not set to its counter.
And again, they're just going for as much artifact spam as they can. Probably going to look for a kind of a Sylvia. Sylvia? Yeah, Sylvia?
Maybe I overdid it.
Yes, anyway. We're going to do fairly well with that strike, even though I probably could have just went face for the 5 damage. I did favour destroying the board. Even if I could have potentially done 10 damage to my opponent, they still would have been left with 4, and I don't think that would have been good enough for us, so that worked out in the end. So it didn't really make much difference. For our next matchup, one that can usually go one of 2 ways. Either Blood absolutely dominates the matchup and you find it hard to really get started, or Blood kills themselves so fast that it only takes you 1 or 2 spells to really weaken them enough that they're pretty much dead. So, depending on which way this kind of matchup goes, usually you're going to be pretty safe. Looks like they have got the Buller card sleeve. That is one of my favourite sleeves. And it looks like we're starting off with a pretty simple magic mentor. I mean, double and getting the drops are going to be fine. And snarling chains is not a huge surprise. It is a pity we didn't get another Mysteria card, but a decent draw engine in Pure Hearted is always good. It is a pity that she is rotating soon. We will probably have to try and find something decent to slot into that slot, as we don't lose a lot of cards from Mysteria. We're only losing really the Pure Hearted and maybe a couple other smaller things. I really haven't looked super in depth into what we are losing yet, as it hasn't really been a worry to me. I usually just work around whatever we're losing anyway. And with the addition of some new Mysteria cards, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. So we're looking for a very good turn 5. Magic Founder should take out the 4/4. Then all we really have to do is handle the rest of this board.
Let me share my wisdom.
So it is going to cost us an Evo point, which does suck a little bit. It's definitely not the best outcome, but it's also not the worst. I'll definitely take this kind of outcome a lot of the time. Especially when we have 3 ands in hand, and we only need 1 to go for the sorcery play. So the others are just going to be pretty much ward boosts, which are always nice to have. So they're already at max health, that's not going to make much of a difference. And Staff of Whirlwinds should be more than enough to really kind of finish this off here. Gotta love Staff of Whirlwinds. Once you combo it with Founder, it's just super decent. Mainly because you do get that extra bit of face damage for the 1 extra cost compared to Nova Flare, which personally I don't think is quite as nice as Staff of Whirlwinds. You also do get the extra little bit of damage. Of course, it is at the cost of 1 overall attack to the board, but the Founders usually do make that up, so it's not usually a big deal. So we couldn't quite go for lethal that turn, but I mean, we set ourselves up pretty decently for the next turn. Even if they did heal up. And Omen of Lust, unfortunately, is going to pretty much ruin whatever plans we had. So we're definitely going to be looking for a little bit longer lethal now. Going into the Ands as probably our best option after playing out a few spells. So I decided to go face. Get as much as I could there. We were going to be 2 damage short to face. So that does suck. Even if it is just a little there. But I can go for double An, one of which will be a sorcery, and we still have 1 whole turn, which now that our opponent is top decking is extremely in our favour. They would need some really good top decks now to really come back from this. And since they went for Blazing Ruby, as they didn't want to just straight up die, then they really don't have many options. We were so close. Just 2 damage off. Now, at least now with An Sorcery, the odds of us losing are basically 0. I don't think there's anything in Blood that could really be drawn other than probably actually Dark Feast Bat. I'd assume that is what they're running, so that's probably what they were waiting for. That's why they took this game right to the end. That's why it could have went 1 or 2 ways. I mean, that seems to be a thing. If they don't draw Dark Feast Bat, it's a pretty easy win. If they do, then it can be a bit more iffy. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. This deck for me has definitely been one of my favorites in the last 3 months. I've played a lot of decks, I've covered a lot of decks in videos, and this one really has been the one that's kept me playing. I think if this kind of deck didn't take off, I would have found it hard to continue in the current meta. It just hasn't been that enjoyable to keep playing this meta. It's just felt very stale, but once we got the kind of Rune Mysteria deck in, it at least gave me a reason to play, which is nice, and I've definitely played a few other decks since then, of course, as you've seen in the videos, but this one just keeps me coming back and doing my monthly stuff, which is always good. So if you do like it, the deck list will be in the description below. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Until next time, see ya.